I will start off by saying that I stand in opposition to LB623, also in opposition to the Transportation Committee amendment, but I will support Senator Grody's amendment, AM 1620. And I have to start by saying that the committee amendment, much of it, particularly the portion which pertains to the DACA recipients being forced to return their driver's licenses when, if and when their deferred action status is terminated. Candidly, that was an amendment which I proposed in the Transportation Committee, and it's little more than a feel-good amendment. Unfortunately, I don't know that it provides much security to those of us who are concerned about the policy contained in LB 623. And I think it's important to note how DACA came to be, to understand the danger in LB 623. Because unlike many other deferred action statuses, this was issued by an executive order by the President of the United States, which means it can be rescinded by an executive order by the next President of the United States. And it is that concern which was the genesis of this amendment, of my amendment, my suggestion in the committee amendment, which the Transportation Committee adopted. And the problem that we have is we will have driver's licenses which are applicable and valid for 2 years after their issuance. The DACA recipients will have these driver's licenses even if their deferred status is terminated by the federal government. And there are two likely scenarios where that could happen. The first is we will have a new President of the United States in a year and a half. There are candidates running for president who have already stated that if elected, they will rescind the executive order granting deferred status to these people. If that happens, we could talk about lawful presence and lawful status, the differences between the two. But if the deferred action is taken away by an executive order of the next president, there will be none of the above. But there will be valid driver's licenses in the state of Nebraska for those people, because just because they were granted a driver's license, that driver's license is valid for 2 years, even if the deferred action status is rescinded. That's a big problem. It's one that I attempted to address in the Transportation Committee amendment, but ultimately it relies on a sort of self-governance, but for people to voluntarily choose to give their driver's licenses back. That seems unlikely to me. 1 minute. And I'd like to address, or perhaps my next time on the microphone, I'd like to address the letter written to us by the Secretary of State. And before I get into the details, I would like you all to please read that letter literally, and don't infer anything beyond what it says in plain writing, because it is not the security blanket that I have heard some suggest that it is off the microphone. So I would encourage my colleagues to vote in favor of AM 1620. I will get into on future times on the microphone exactly why it is so important that 1620 is adopted, particularly as it pertains to voting in the state of Nebraska. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Sen.Murante. Those in the queue, Senator Kintner, Brosh, Friesen, Williams, and Stinner, and others. Senator Kintner.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Unfortunately, we're in a tough situation here, mostly not of our doing, but we have a president who is a lawless president that has a callous disregard for the Constitution, and thinks he can just write law by signing his name to a piece of paper. We are, here in Nebraska, tasked with trying to fix the mess that's been created by our president and other presidents. And we have young people who are here in our country that have all, for all intents and purposes, have been raised as Americans. I think it'd be very tough to ask them to go back to the country of their parents. I'm assuming that their parents are lawless, illegal aliens. How else would they get here if they didn't break a law and come here? There are legal ways to come here, and people have chosen not to do that. And we've got an administration in Washington that encourages that to happen. And here we are in Nebraska with the task of trying to fix this problem created by Washington. And I got to tell you, we spend an awful lot of time dealing with problems created by politicians in Washington, D.C. And they always say it's dysfunctional, but it's not dysfunctional enough because they still create a lot of havoc, a lot of messes by their own actions. So as I look at this bill, I am in full support of 1620 AM from Senator Groney. I want to thank Senator Groney for bringing this amendment, and I think what it does is it clarifies and makes it a little bit more clear as to what we're trying to do. I'd like to yield the remainder of my time to Senator Chambers. Oh, no, Senator Chambers isn't here. I'd like to yield the remainder of my time to Senator Hilkeman. No, Senator Hilkeman is not here either. Well, I'll give my time to Senator McAllister. Gosh darn it, he's not here either. Well, Senator Crawford, I'm sure, would take my time. Mr. President, Senator Crawford's not here either. Well, I would definitely give it to Senator Lindstrom. What? Senator Lindstrom's not here either. Well, Senator Calderman would certainly like my... No, hold on. Excuse me, Mr. President. Senator Calderman's not here either. I think we're a little thin in our ranks today. Senator Klowski, I'm sure, would like my... No, Senator Klowski wouldn't want my time either. Well, gee, Senator Koash. Well, he's always got something good to... No, Senator Koash isn't here either. Well, Senator Keene. Senator Keene has always got something wise to say. No, Senator Keene's not here. Well, Senator Glore, definitely. He can tell a story like nobody... Senator Glore's not here either. Well, Mr. President, I think I'm just going to end it right here, and maybe someone will get here and we'll have a real debate. Thank you, Mr. President.